Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to have Rena with us. She got a rank of 82 in the CLAT. So, Rena, first of all, congratulations. Uh,
Thank you, sir.
and second, tell me, did you expect this to happen?
No, sir, I honestly did not expect it.
Why not?
So, because initially I had a lot of difficulties, and there was a point where nothing seemed to be working for me at all. So, it was very frustrating. There's this one point, especially like in January to March, where I was just like, maybe I cannot do this at all. So, it was very frustrating. It took me a lot of time to find something that actually worked for me. So, yeah, I didn't expect it. So,
So, what
that
happened
is.
during what happened during the phase in January to March?
My mock scores were just dropping and dropping and dropping. And my GK is like whenever I would attempt any mock, I would barely know any GK in that. So I was just like, God, if I don't know now, how am I going to know on the final day? And it was like, it just felt like I just knew nothing. Like I couldn't attempt anything properly. And my scores were just very bad and they were just fluctuating. And it just felt like my basics have only gone wrong somewhere. So it was like having to start from scratch.
So, when you say scores were very bad, but how bad was it?
It was in the 80s. Earlier, I used to get like in 90s, hundreds before, but then they just dropped to the 80s. So it was very demotivating. Uh, I just felt lost.
So, what changed? Anything changed?
What I started doing was I realized that I'm getting nowhere with GK. So what I tried doing was making my non GK stronger. So I mean we can't predict what will come, right, in those seven passages. So I thought that why not make other things my strengths and just hope to God that what I've studied comes in GK. So that's what I did. I worked hard on my other sections, very hard in fact, and I kept giving mocks. Like every day, I would give one mock without fail. And I kept practicing. I redid all of those mocks where I was scoring very badly to see that was it that zone that I was in, which is why I was not scoring, or was I actually that bad at it. So I kept on practicing and practicing. And eventually, I found a strategy, a way of attempting the paper that worked for me. So that really helped me a lot. And as I got a little bit of my confidence back towards the end, and that too, because my scores started coming in the three digits once again. So I just felt like, okay, I just need to keep my calm, my cool, and maybe I'll get there.
So, eventually, how much did you score in the actual CLAT?
Initially, my scores were in
No, I'm talking about actual CLAT in the CLAT.
actual CLAT. Oh, I scored 105.
And how much was GK from it?
GK was around 21, 22.
Oh, so GK score was not that bad considering
Yeah,
what I'm
GK
doing.
was not that bad. No,
So
no.
what?
Towards the last month, I worked like crazy for GK. Before I made my non GK strong, and now I was like, let me do GK now completely and get done with it. So GK wasn't that bad for me on the final day. I knew something. I wouldn't say it was terrible.
So when you're using the word crazy, how crazy it quantify that to me? How crazy was the last 1 month prep for GK?
The last, so I started preparing with my friend who also gave CLAT with me. So him and I, we prepared a list of the events we thought were important with the help of various different sources, what we thought could possibly come. So we gathered all of that information. We would explain it to each other, our topics that we had researched on, and then I kept revising it by myself whenever I got the time. So I had a constant revision going on. I would give at least 3 to 4 hours of my day dedicated solely to GK. And I just knew because from all of those videos and everything that I've seen, and I just came to realize that GK would also play a major role, especially in deciding my rank. So it can't be that I entirely leave it up to God. I will have to do something myself too. So then in those last months, I just focused on the topics that were important that I thought could come. And I just kept revising them every single day. And that's what I did on Saturday as well, the day before CLAT. I just revised the topics that I had already covered and just hoped that something of that came. But actually, just there was just one passage, Russia, Ukraine, that came from all everything that I studied. Yeah. So It was, but what helped was doing that many topics was that it made the elimination of other options easier. So I could make some educated guesses and a few questions. So I wouldn't say it was a waste. I think it was very enlightening and it did help me on the final day. So
So in the Ukraine passage, did you get Zelensky's question correct?
yeah, I did.
So tell me something. So you let's since we are on the discussion of GK, in the actual paper, GK would have stumped you a bit, right? I'm guessing.
Uh, Actually, yeah, I mean, initially when I saw my first passage in my paper set was about drones, and I knew nothing about it, absolutely nothing. And I was like, God, I'm doomed. These 5 marks are gone completely. But then I just thought that, let me keep my cool. Let me try to make educated guesses where I can. If not, we'll just hope for the best and try to do the other sections that well that I can possibly cover up my GK. But then as I went ahead, then in the middle I had Russia Ukraine. So that brought my confidence up a little bit that okay, great. 5 marks here. So I just took one question at a time. I didn't try to see it as a whole because I knew if I saw it as a whole I would panic because there was very little actually from what I'd actually studied that came in the paper. So I tried to make educated guesses. I tried to keep my cool and I just trusted my gut and went with some of the options. I did get a few guessworks wrong here and there, but larger picture it worked out in GK. So I would say it was good. It wasn't that bad.
So in the examination, did you start with GK or was it in the middle or something?
No, it was my second section, GK.
So post that session, did you carry any burden of GK into it, or you said,
No, no, I didn't. No. I was just like, okay, what's gone is gone. It's okay. Let me focus. Because my next section was logic. So I'm like, no, no, no. Here I need my full focus. I can't think about anything else right now. So it didn't worry me after my section was over.
okay, so coming back to your preparation for the non-GK section, you said that you wanted to make it a strength. So
Yeah.
individually, section-wise, what are the things that you did to make these your
Uh,
strength?
for English, what I did was I tried to focus on my comprehension. And because sometimes in this exam, what happens is it's not about what we think the author is saying, it's about what the paper setter thinks what the author is saying. So I tried to get into that zone. Those boot camp videos that we had, those were very helpful. So I remember Siddharth sir saying this one thing that instead of looking for the right answer, look for the wrong one. And then I just fit that into my head. And that's the strategy I follow for all of my sections, or obviously except maths, but yeah. I looked for the wrong one, found the logical reason to eliminate it, and then just came to the right one, whichever was left out of the four. So for English, I focused on my comprehension. I read a few editorials, tried to understand what the tone of the passage is, what is the author actually trying to say. I used to have discussions with a few of my friends over some articles that were there in the papers, and just I try to improve my vocabulary also. I use this book, I don't actually remember, Word Power Made Easy, to improve my vocabulary over there too. And I've been a reader since I was young. So English wasn't that much of an issue for me. So English I tackled fairly well. Then for legal, what I did was I went through those books that Career Launcher had provided us to get a basic general knowledge about legal, but then there could be unknown passages as well. So I remember GP sort of said that try to find the principle. So that's what I was doing, trying to find the principle in the entire passage and just sticking to the information that was there. So over there also sometimes they could use different or difficult languages or words that were completely new to us. I remember in one of these mocks there was a word called celebration in the legal passage. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this right. So I mean there could be alien words too in legal. So I just thought that let's keep it simple. The entire passage is going to talk about just one principle. Let's find it and nail it down and work with that only. So that's what I did in legal. And for logic, genuinely, I had no set strategy. I approached logic the way it came because my logic was very moody. Sometimes I would score amazingly well. Sometimes I would be like, oh God, what have I done here? So logic, there was no set strategy, but in logic also, I worked on my comprehension to try and understand. For assumption questions and everything, what I did with logic was I tried to read the passage like a story. that this is not just it, there is something before it, there's something after it. So that helped me a lot when it came to inference questions or assumption questions, thinking of that passage as a part of something bigger than what it is. So I tried to read it like a story and read between the lines somewhere where it was necessary. Else I just stuck, if I couldn't understand the passage, I just stuck to what it was and then just hope to God my answers were right. But yeah, I mean, no set strategy for logic. I couldn't tell you what I did there.
So basically, I think what you're saying is that you're basically reading kind of helped navigate the problems that you
Yeah,
faced in logic.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, reading and comprehension played a major role in my preparation.
And maths.
Maths, I had completely neglected maths initially because I was like, let me work on these three. Maths, I'm not that bad at maths. So I'm like, I'll figure something out, towards the end. So then, towards the end, in the last week, I practiced a few topics which I thought were important or which could help me, give the extra speed while solving the questions like percentages, ratios, and then time work and time speed distance I did because they just drive me crazy. So those two I did, and then I just went over some formulas of mensuration or something like that in case it came up ever. But maths I didn't focus on a lot. Towards the last week I did practice a lot of it. So I and plus we had mostly DI only in our. Wasn't like DI, but it was like percentages and ratios and everything. So it was pretty basic maths. So it worked out in my favor.
So during the mock test, you used to solve maths. It's not like you ignored maths in that sense, right?
No, no, no. I did solve maths. I knew it, but when it used to come like time work, time speed, distance, and everything, some twisted passages or something like that used to come. So then I would be stuck. So from that, I could solve like highest like one or two questions, not more than that. But yeah, my main focus was the other three, excluding math and GK. I would like have to make these three strong no matter what I do. These three have to be my strength, and I have to play with that only because nobody knows what will come in math or GK. I mean, I can remember all the mensuration formulas, but what if in the actual exam I can't apply them? So I was just like, let's do this first, and then we'll see the rest later.
So what happened eventually in the exam? How much did you get in maths?
Maths, I scored a 13 in math.
Okay, so 13 in maths, about 20 in legal. That's about 20, 33. So remaining about 75 odd came from the rest
Yeah, 75 minutes.
out of the 100.
Yeah, yeah,
So that probably would be advice for all the students taking the test in the next season, which is by the way in December.
yeah,
So
yeah. But I would just say that find your strength and work with it. And then towards the end then you will eventually figure out your way with the other subjects that you're weaker in. Eventually you will, but for now I would say that just focus on your strength, make it your strongest out of all, and then you'll find your way. It will take time, but you'll find your way.
so in this preparation that you had, which are the thing that you think is a must-do things? Do you think, for example, is your number one? Is it mock very important, or is like reading?
uh,
What are
I would say mock is the most important because when I was giving mock initially from like Saturday to Saturday, I was struggling a lot with my speed initially because I mean, yeah, sure, we read in our daily lives, but we don't read with the purpose of solving something. We just read for leisure. So reading so much together and trying to solve the questions, it gets very taxing after a point of time. Like I remember always feeling a sort of a burnout like halfway through my paper. I just felt like bust, I cannot read any more than this. So I would say that practicing mocks really helped reduce that burnout. Obviously, it wasn't going completely, but it helped reduce my burnout a lot. It gave me the required practice that was needed. So that's why I kept continuing it till the very last day of giving a mock each day. So that really helped with my speed. And I would say another important thing is definitely finding a set way to, go about your questions, like a set way to attempt these sections. Because what happens is, if your strength is legal and if you do it in the beginning only, when your mind is all fresh and good and working, it's not gonna. If you'll suffer in other sections where you're actually weak. So I just found a strategy where I did my strongest towards the end and weakest सबसे आगे. So my entire focus and concentration could be used over there because I knew the ones that I'm good at I would manage somehow in the end. So finding a set strategy was very important, and then giving those mocks helped me, somewhat master that strategy. slowly, slowly. I got comfortable with it. I got comfortable reading it in that set pattern and attempting it in the set pattern. So, yeah, I would say finding a strategy of attempting is very, very important according to me.
So which board were you in? Uh,
I was in 12th SSC, 10th ICSC.
SSC would mean that actually the examination got over early.
Yeah, yeah, the March examination.
Okay, so I
Yeah,
think the trouble that the CBSE the ICS students had,
yeah.
at least
We were
that
lucky.
problem. Okay, so this
Yeah,
is probably advantage of being in Mumbai and having that
yeah, yeah.
HFC.
Yeah.
So in your do you want to give a shout out to anyone that helped you in the process?
Yeah, I want to say a big thank you to my friend Rishabh, who really helped me with GK towards the last month and even before. So yeah, it was a big, big help from his side. And yeah, I mean, GK is all thanks to him, actually. I wouldn't have got there alone by myself.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you're heading to one of the top school in this country. So is there any plan
Yeah.
that you have in mind? What करना क्या है जिंदगी में कि मतलब you're going to figure out along the way? What is the
No, I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I can't tell you why, I just always knew it. That's what I wanted to do. So, for now, I just took it one step at a time. That let me clear this and get into one of the best. And then we'll see what I find interesting, which type of law I find interesting. And that's what I'll take up. For now, I lean
wonderful,
more towards criminal law, but let's see.
wonderful, Rena. Congratulations, and I
Thank you,
wish you the
sir.
very best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.